perfect Yorkshire puddings. Let's do it. First up, big bowl. Whisk, and I need 4 eggs. I'm using beautiful, fresh, free-range eggs, and we're gonna whisk those up. I'm using a big bowl so we can get some nice air in there. Then I'm gonna go in with 200 millilitres of whole milk, 200 grams of plain flour. Now you can sift it. You know, when you sift it, it just makes it nice and light and no lumps. We don't want lumps in there. So just whisk up your batter. As you can see, now it's nicely whipped up. I'm just gonna add a little pinch of salt and nothing else. That's basically it. Now we want it to just coat the back of a spoon. It should just stick nicely to it. That's the batter made. What I do want to do is get it from a bowl, which is perfect for making it, into a jug, because that's perfect for pouring it quickly, because that is another important part that I'll talk about in a minute. We are using a sunflower oil. You can use a groundnut oil or a sunseed oil. Absolutely, these are oils that can handle high heat. We want 1 centimetre in each mould. So I'm going to fill up these 3, and what I like to do is then just gently but evenly pour the oil all the way along, and by the time you hit the bottom, you'll have absolutely perfect, exact measurement across every single one. And I know what you're thinking. I know, I invented it, or at least I think I did. Now we are gonna preheat our oven to 190 degrees Celsius. I've got one in there already, okay? It's been in there for about 15 minutes. So, my preheated oil comes out. This is very hot. I'm gonna go in with my batter here. I'm gonna use a spoon. What you don't want is loads of batter touching the side. If you have batter in between, what's gonna happen is that will drag your Yorkshire pudding down and it will stop it rising as efficiently. And what's happening now, you can see the hot oil is starting to cook the batter on the outside. And as we put this in the oven, the heat of the oil is gonna push the batter up the side to create that lift. Okay, we're gonna go straight back into the oven, and we're gonna close the door, and we're gonna leave it. They're gonna cook for about 20 to 25 minutes until golden and crispy and gorgeous. You're gonna love it. Ah, come on, baby. Yeah! So for me, guys, this really is the perfect Yorkshire pudding. You can go bigger, you can put more batter in, but then I think it goes too crispy and too dry. I like this kind of size. I like the kind of balance of crispiness around here and the chewiness from inside. Look what you got there, absolutely gorgeous. I want to show you guys something even more incredible to go with Yorkshire puddings that's not the usual thing. So I've got some nice smoked salmon. I'm going to put it down onto a beautiful Bordeaux platter. To complement that, I want a little simple sauce. Now you could use sour cream, yogurt, or creme fraiche. Just beat it up, and I'm gonna add just the juice of 1 lemon. Here's a fresh horseradish. So we're gonna peel the horseradish, the little grating over the salmon, just like snow. What I like about this is its contrast, fire and lightness. It's beautiful. Just mix it up. Just gonna take some of this dill and from a height, just pick it. And then freshly cooked, hot Yorkshire puddings, loading it with that hot sour cream and horseradish sauce, a nice bit of smoked salmon, and then just find a quiet little moment where you and that beautiful combination can just tuck in. Yorkshire pudding is incredibly cheap to make. Everyone loves it, and I want you to take this brilliant principle recipe and roll with it. My giant veggie Yorkshire pudding is a tray bake of epic proportions. Packed with roasted veg, crispy stuffing balls, and served with a delicious onion gravy. At 77p per portion, it's a twist on the classic that you're gonna wanna stick with. I'm gonna give you the ultimate Yorkshire pudding recipe that you're gonna love. It's gonna look after you and work time and time again. So I've got 4 large eggs. We wanna use a whisk. We'll have a pinch of salt. We're gonna take 150 grams of plain flour, and then 150 millilitres of whole milk goes in, and then 50 millilitres of water. And it's the water in the batter that gives you the shock reaction from the heat of the oven and the oil in the tray to give you the most incredibly big Yorkshire pudding. You can use the same batter in normal little muffin tins and have your classic Yorkshire pudding moulds. So, whisk this batter until nice and smooth. Look at this texture. It's not too thick, okay? So let's put this aside. The batter's really, really good. Now, I'm cooking the veggies separately so they get maximum heat, but also don't affect how big the Yorkshire pudding gets. That will save me cooking time, about 10 minutes. What I'm going to do is take 800 grams of carrots. I've given them a wash. By leaving the skin of the carrot on and roasting it, it's a different kind of cooked carrot. They feel much more substantial. And cut them into 3. Now I'm going to put 2 onions into halves. We'll add salt and pepper. A little drizzle of olive oil. So give it a mix up like that, and then that goes into an oven for 20 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius, which is 400 Fahrenheit. So I'm going to pop those at the top. Now, I want to show you a little trick to making really beautiful, simple stuffing balls. It's a really nice recipe. 4 slices of white bread. If you've got brown bread, that's absolutely fine as well. I'm going to put a pan on a medium-high heat, and I've got 2 onions over here. I have 10 grams of fresh sage. I'll trim the end off the stalks and lose that, but the little fine stalks I'll keep. I'll keep a few little sage leaves back for when I finish the dish. And then the sage here, I'll just slice up. I'm actually going to use these onions in 2 ways. I'm going to use half in these stuffing balls and half in my gravy. There's something about sage and onion in the world of stuffing that is just beautiful. So a little oil in a pan, like that. In with our onions here and our sage. A little salt and pepper. I'm using the red onions here, which are really nice, but you can use white onions. We're going to let that sort of fry off, just get them sweet and gorgeous. What we're going to do is use water to hydrate the bread, and I'm going to scrunch this up. Now, the onions have had enough time to soften up. I'm going to put half straight in here. So I've got half in here, half in the pan. This will make a beautiful gravy a little bit later. So I'll put that back on the heat on low to get sweet and delicious. Now, add some vegetable oil to a tray, just enough to coat the bottom. Funny enough, everyone always thinks Yorkshire puddings absorb a lot of oil or grease or fat, whatever you want to call it. They actually don't. When you take it out, there's normally a whole load left at the bottom, but you do need the oil coverage to make these things grow. So look, I've just covered the bottom like that. I'm going to go into the bottom of the oven for 4 minutes, okay, to get it nice and hot. So look, here, mix those up, and then I just want to roll these into 12 little balls. If you just have a little bowl of water, having wet hands helps you make a nice, smooth ball. I've got our beautiful sage and onion balls here. So let me just quickly get in and out of the oven because the temperature's going to go down. This is 20 minutes. You can see colour starting to happen to the carrots and the onions. Give them a little shake. Just add a little oil and plop these in and around the tray. By putting them on the top, they're going to get access to more heat. Just nestle them in. And then we'll get lovely, crispy sage and onion balls. So the veg goes back in, and then I'm going to get the batter and the hot oil, and I'm going to pour this in. Straight back in, close the door. Do not open it for at least 20 minutes. And that will just grow, 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 grow. Up the sides, it's going to be bonkers. The veggies are going to be golden and gorgeous. Now, in the time that that cooks, I'm going to make a beautiful gravy. So a sage and onion gravy with a few little tricks and hacks to make it delicious. I've got the onions sizzling away. we're going to put in a veg stock cube, a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. And that's really essential for having that sweet and sour sort of subtlety that is so good in a classic onion gravy. Cook the vinegar away so it won't be harsh in any way at all. I've got two other little cheats. One is unusual. Take some jam. It doesn't really matter what jam, right? This is a strawberry jam. We're going to go in with a heaped teaspoon. Red currant jam would be the classic. Then get a nice teaspoon of yeast extract. Fantastic. It's got depth of flavour, it's got colour, and all of these together in harmony really help with the onion and the sage to give you a really good, simple gravy. So look at that. You can already see it's starting to look shiny. That already looks the business. So a nice heaped tablespoon of flour goes in, like that. And now we go over to the tap with 500 millilitres of water. Just stir that in. If you like it smooth, push it through a sieve or liquidise it. I think I'm going to leave it chunky, right? It's less work, and I like that kind of attitude. I'm going to put the gravy into a little pot, OK? And I want to use that to cook this, the Great Savoy cabbage. The finer you can slice it, the quicker it will cook and the more delicate it will look and feel to eat. I need 80 grams per person, just over a half. We'll finely slice the stalks. There's actually nothing wrong with the stalks. Put them in, and then the dark green part, and then the lovely fresh white parts I will put on the top. And I'll give it a little swig of water. 2 tablespoons is all you need. So lid on, let that cook for about 4 minutes or until it's tender. So 20 minutes is up. That is a really nice way to roast veggies. Very simple. Then it comes to the mega recipe that is the Yorkshire pudding. I can't even get it out. You see, it's literally grown into the top tray. You have to take out the top tray to get this Yorkie out. OK. Look at that. Come on. That, my friend, is a Yorkshire pudding. Now what I'm going to do is load this Yorkie with all this gorgeous veg. So the lovely sage and onion balls, just pop them on the top. So one last thing I've got is the last little bit of sage leaves here, and a way to make these utterly delicious is just a little oil like that. That goes back in the oven just for 5 minutes until the sage is crispy, because I want to get these greens finished. And then what I'm going to do is get some peas out. So I've got 200 grams here, sprinkled on top. So a couple of minutes and you're done. You just want to cook them so they're sweet and gorgeous. Have a look at that. Come on. Completely bonkers. Right, oven off. We've got the greens here, nice and steamed and fresh. We've got the lovely gravy, which is going to be amazing with this. Loads of rich, dark gravy. Let's plate one up. Right, get in there with a knife and basically cut your Yorkie. Look at the size of this. There's a stray ball that's just plopped out. Peas and cabbage. Then it's time for our delicious gravy. Come on. That's a fun dish. Let's just swap this around. Let's try the beautiful little sage and onion balls. You'd never think that kind of using up leftover bread could be so delicious. Those greens are so simple and so quick to cook, really good. If you look at the onions, sweet and caramelised, just gorgeous. The skin on those carrots, they're just so delicious. When they roast like that, they're like more meaty, robust and delicious. The Yorkshire is like the biggest and best edible sponge ever, just soaking up all of that gravy. What I love about this recipe is I'm a meat eater, and if I was given this for a lunch or dinner, I'll be really pleased. There's no compromise on flavour here. I'm going to do a fantastic dish. It's a collision of all the influences that I've had so far. So I've got smoked trout. From the pub, taking the concept of Yorkshire puddings as a starter, love that. Also the fact that that's a traditional way to fill people up. So I'm doing mini Yorkshire puddings. Oh, look, just bear with me. Mini Yorkshire puddings with potted smoked trout and horseradish. Brilliant, wicked combo. Take 200 grams of cream cheese, thin it out with some milk and season it. I've got some horseradish. You can use the sort of regular horseradish in a jar if you want, but I'm just going to grate some fresh. So you want it to be hot. Fight the heat of the horseradish with the acid of 1 lemon. What are you after? No sugar cubes here, mate. You want it to have attitude. If it's a bit floppy, like a dodgy old handshake, it's no good at all. You need it to be a big old firm handshake, right? So mix this up, make it light and silky. Now I'm using some chives, just because I think it's delicate. And of course that little hum of onion sort of is really good at joining up all those flavours, do you know what I mean? Look, everyone in the world loves Yorkshire puddings. So when you get those bad boys coming out of the oven, hot and sizzling, and then you have this beautiful flaky potted smoked trout smeared on there, bang it in your gob. Happy days. Take the trout, think texture, and just flake up that beautiful smoked fish. And the more chunks in there, the better. The last thing in the world I want to do is create a mousse. Not into that at all. It's quite nice to remind people of the flavours that are going into this story. And this is a story, actually. It's a story of classic Yorkshire life and the Jewish communities brought together by some raving idiot in the middle of a field. Add some finely chopped chives, a little lemon zest and a good pinch of pepper, along with a little bit of cold-pressed British rapeseed oil. Brilliant, simple, humble, delicious food. And the point is, we put that now into the fridge, get it nice and cold, and we serve that with lovely, hot, sizzling baby Yorkshire puddings. Absolute classic. So here goes the recipe. 4 large, organic, free-range eggs, right? Do it in a jam jar and memorise the height of the eggs, right? So look, just under there, centimetre under there is my line, okay? And fill it up exactly to the same amount. Boom. And then flour, again to exactly the same amount. Now, I'm just going to whisk this up before I put the flour in. I'm going to put a little bit of salt. That was pepper. It's been a long day. So get some bubbles in there into that batter was absolutely key. Frothing nicely, the flour can now go in. So 4 eggs, same quantity of milk, same quantity of flour. Who in the world can forget that? Easy. You want it to be light, but thick enough with a few bubbles, and then get them straight in the oven. Get this batter and just literally pour that in. The tin's already been coated with regular sunflower oil. Obviously that's screaming hot. So cook these nice and fast, 250 degrees Celsius, 500 Fahrenheit. In a regular oven, close that door and just don't touch it. And if it's glass, you can turn the light on and sit there and watch it, which I do often, and I don't think there's anything wrong in admitting that you sit there and you watch Yorkshire puddings cook. But where it's close to the fire, you can see it's rising, so I'm going to just turn this. That is what it's all about. The great Yorkshire pudding. Look, you've got the little well in the middle there. Let me take my dear friend, Mr. Yorkshire smoked trout. Oh my Lord. out of the oven. Eat them quick. Don't talk. No rubbish. That is probably one of the nicest mouthfuls of food I've ever had.